Lauren XR 7-2. 72. The problem when you play poker too much is you start seeing numbers and you go 7 deuce. But it's probably 72. Thank you very much for the follow, Lauren. Hope you're doing well. $120k for the lads on time. That would be useful. I would love to, like, one day, I'd love to have a big spin and just be like, yeah, guys, so whatever. That'd be fun, you know what I mean? And just people put like, ooh. What would they be like? They'd all be like, ooh, ooh. Oh, oh. Looks like January's the shitty month for a lot of people. So birdies, very much happens where, like, January typically, every reg thinks, I'm going to grind loads this year. I'm going to play every day. I'm going to study loads. I'm going to do all this stuff. And every single reg has that New Year's resolution. And every single reg then plays loads and loads of games in January. And every single reg has bad January. So it's not every reg, obviously, but it's very, very, very common that happens. Keyman says, nice, Cambridge, a nice part of the world. I'm London-based myself. Nice, Keyman. Do you play get any in any live poker? Isaac says, easy the bank management if you play 500 spins because you can't punt and play higher. That is true. Like, if you go on a bad run here, you're like, where can I move where they respect my raises? No. If they're not respecting your raises here, no one's respecting your raises anywhere in poker. That's what you have to learn. If you can't get a raise through at the 500s, you can't get a raise through in poker. That's the law, right? Raising here is the last level you can raise for the moment. Maybe when in a year's time they're going to release the 1Ks and we'll be playing 1K spins on stream, and then I can play 500s and be like, God, I can't believe they're not respecting my raises. I'm going to play 1Ks where they respect my raises, and they'll respect my raises there. Okay, this hasn't gone well. Plyman says, I've been really looking forward to your streams lately, Tomo. Good luck today, mate. Thank you, Plyman. What's changed? What's you said lately? So, what in particular? As no, because back in the day they were just annoying. Thank you very much, Flyman. I appreciate that. Oh, it actually is check raise 7 deuce. Okay, thank you. That's good. That's good. Lauren, I'm happy it's check raise. Well done for having a poker name that we all recognised. Sorry if every time that you've gone on a different non-poker Twitch and they've gone Lauren XR72. No, I can't even say 72. 7 deuce. 72. Okay, I'm feeling clubby. We're going clubbing, ladies and gentlemen. We're going. No, nothing. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. What's the biggest loss? Anyone remember in the biggest loss we had on Twitch? I think we lost about 15k or something. But the biggest losing run in a row, I think we had about 11 or 12. So we're on 8 so far. So we could be watching Twitch history here, ladies and gentlemen, as we go on our biggest ever losing run. But I mean, to be honest, I'm happy with nearly all my hands. I don't know. Any hands we could have played differently. To be honest, like pre-flop in Ultras, there's limited. There's more than you think, but there's limited stuff, especially as you get shallower, of course. It's like, know your Nashes. I mean, knowing your Nashes is good, but everyone else knows their Nashes, and that's also something, right? In terms of flop opportunity, so a nice thing to check, by the way, if you're an Ultras or a Flash Grinder and you want to say, well, how do I know if I'm running bad or running good? Have a look at your win rates when you have the opportunity to bet the flop, and have a look at the win rates pre-flop, and then compare the two. And especially if you've gone on a downswing, if it's a downswing, it's just a pre-flop downswing. That could be then just a, just you didn't play bad, you just ran into a load of pocket pairs or whatever, and that can happen, and that could just be GG. Of course, still check it, make sure you haven't punted off like a maniac, but something like that. But in terms of our hands that we've had today, let's say, what should I say? In terms of our flop opportunities that we've had to bet the flop, right? And we have to think, any of those hands that we could have played differently so far? I think we've only had about 7 or 8 or something. Let's call the 10-9 off. It's close, but it's a call. I'm pretty sure it's a call. I'll check that one. Sometimes I have these little brain farts where I'm like, this is a call, and then I look and I'm like, I got that wrong. Normally that happens more at the kind of like 3.4 big blinds or something where I'm like, oh, this is a shove, and then I look and I'm like, oh, it's 2.7. 5-6 off always gets me, because 5-6 off feels like a good hand. And then you look in Nash and it's like, don't you dare touch that for 2.6 or more. And you're like, what? It's a good hand. No. 6-7 off, yeah, you go ahead and stick that in for 11, mate. 5-6 off, you come at 5-6 off with more than 3 big blinds. It's the same hand, 5-6 and 6-7. No. The 7 is a lot higher than the 6. That doesn't make sense to me. Anyway. Kima says, I'm a regular at the Hippo. Nice. But focusing on online grab for now. It's funny, more challenging. Just start getting into solvers and proper study yet. How about you? Do you play live in London? So I played live in London a little bit back in the day. I haven't done anything live since COVID, which is a shame because I used to love playing live. It's my favourite thing is like playing a big live tournament. So I played quite a few different live, the UKPTs. We played a few of those. Apollos, thank you very much for the follow. We're going to go for a min bet here. What are we hoping to get called by? Before we bet, let's always consider that. I'm not so sure actually. But let's give it a go. Sometimes with these spots we're like, it's a bet. We always know it's a bet in GTO land. I still want to think, what do we get called by? 4 diamonds. And maybe a 3, to be fair. There are some 3x in Slayer's range, which make a lot of sense, right? You would check turn. Yeah, definitely there. Alright, we're going to go for a raise with the 7s. Let's press the raise button. And I think we'll start with check here. Freddie says that the bigger you play, the less they respect raises. People be like, okay, I have good blockers to his unblockers, so he might be bluffing more. But what if they have unblockers to our blockers, so he might be bluffing less? That's when you play really high, Freddie. It's the reverse that, you know? I'm going to make the call here for blocking, unblocking, blocking, unblockers. Yeah, so we're just going to check and just see if we can check down, please. Nah. Do we ever want a hero here? Problem is like, in the check down range, we actually interact a lot with like some of the hands we'd want to have. He could have a hand like 10-8 or something, or Jack-8, but that's not too many hands. And then Jack-10 and 10-9 and Jack-King, and I think every King-X plus can bet the sizing. He could have some 2-pair here. King-6, for example, makes a lot of sense. And so the 7x blocks a lot of the hands we want to have. A hand like 7-5 or 7-8 or 10-7. Way fewer combos of those. So our combinatoric reducers are actually quite impactful, I think, in that situation. Whereas like in other spots, when we're trying to decide if we want to, you know, go with it or not, like combinatorically can be a bit more marginal. You know, like a lot of people will be like, well, I have a flush blocker, so you can't have a flush. And it's like, well, depending on which flush blocker we have, we may reduce the flush combinatorics from 42 to 30, not 42, but 34 to 31 or something. And you're like, I don't know. All right, let's just win this one. Please. Please hold. That's not a good start. 10-10. Ah, it's almost a Twitch clip history. Okay. All right. So, 10 in a row without a win. Wubsy's made a friend. Keyman and Wubsy. Oh, friends. Oh, clapping friends. Oh, let's go play cash. Yeah. Okay. This is a good start. We're ahead of aces without a club. Ah, we could have donked here, and I forgot. And the one thing I said I would do before I started streaming was, I'm going to remember the donks, and I forgot to donk. And I regret not donking on this board. Because I think this would be a very fun hand to donk with. Like, Scart84, thank you very much for the follow. We appreciate it, buddy. Hope you're doing well. He's a Scartman with a Scart lead. Just going to check as this, and then just could have gone a bit smaller, actually. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know, Slayer. Let's just get it in. Oh, okay. Okay. I had it. Twitch history. We're getting there. We need only 3 more games or so, and this will be Twitch history. We're going to jam the ace-jack off and hopefully get called by a worse hand, or hopefully hit 2 diamonds for a chop. Or a jack. No. Okay, okay. Interesting min raise here at 5BB. I think we're just cool, to be honest. And let's try and flop a little piece of it. We get min bet into, which is bizarre as well. So, I mean, my personal opinion would be no ace-x in our opponent's range. We could call here and just decide we're just going to pile it in against on a spade or a straight draw, or if we hit. And on this turn, I think we have a pretty comfortable fold. So, like, I don't know if this guy has just kings in this spot or aces or whatever. That might be the case, in which case we make a bad flop call. But I think I'd rather 1BB into 6, be comfortable making a bad flop call. And then plan was just on a 6, a 10, a spade, whatever. We can just go with it. The min raise at 6 is weird, so like it can happen. It might be that he has typical, but like I haven't seen too many min raises from him historically at that stack depth, so I don't know. Well, also this guy is kind of new. We think it's a reg that changed their name, but you never know. It may be a completely new guy that's just turned up. But I mean, we're definitely not supposed to fold that in GTO land at least. And I think in those spots where like I have a lot of uncertainty. Okay, well, if we can't range an opponent, well, let's at least play our range ourselves correctly, and then make sure that they can't take advantage of us, if that makes sense. Syringa Dukat. Hey, Team 61. Hey, Syringa. Quick question. When you are facing a downswing, does stop playing for a couple of days will change it in any way? Good luck. So, Syringa, good question. The answer is, does stopping playing stop a downswing? The answer is not necessarily. But what stopping playing can do is it can at least stop your mental game from deteriorating further. So what happens if you're on a long downswing, you get more and more frustrated, you may start playing worse, which may then make your win rate worse, which then may make you play worse, and you hit this sort of vicious spiral downhill. Now the problem if that happens is you can, lots of people just lose their minds and lose their marbles, and they just end up screwed in those situations. And so taking a break is never a bad idea in a downswing. So even if you think you're playing well, it may be subconsciously you're missing a few spots. Very easy. I'll give you an example, a couple of things, which is like, let's say you run into a lot of 2 pairs when you bet the river. You may suddenly just subconsciously think, I don't really want to bet the river that wide, and all of a sudden, just easing up a little bit on a couple of value bets, for example, or you may go slightly smaller, or you may check a few more turns, or whatever happens. Just little subtle things that sort of start creeping into your game, and they all could be costing you further EV. And so taking a break at least helps reset that mind, so you can come back fresh and ready and trying to play your A game. And so, no, facing a downswing won't do anything in terms of your future cards. You're no more likely to win a flip. You're no more likely to win an all-in. You're just as likely to get dealt aces or 7-2 the next hand. But what it will do is help reset your mind, which will help stop the downswing if the downswing starts being contributed by negative mental patterns. I hope that helps, Syringa. And many sympathies to you if you're on a downswing. And hopefully it won't be too much longer. And just focus on the things you can control. It's a good metaphor for life. Let's jam the ace-king. Let's run into king-queen. Let's get our first win on the board. Jacks is not what we wanted to see. But we'll see a jack now. We'll see a jack now. We'll see a jack now, baby. Winner, winner. We're no longer going broke. This is going to be... Okay, so we had 10 losses in a row. Now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for 10 wins in a row, I've decided. That's what's going to happen here.